Hi, Senator Looney. I wanted
Yes,
to
I got.
mention, I didn't know if you had a chance to see our agenda tonight with regard to the issues regarding the no excuse voting. I know that you're going to go in this session in January, and we just wanted to make sure that you're in full support of, I think COVID exposed so many things with regard to our voting process here in Connecticut. Um, and I just wanted to make sure that you're in support. I know that there is a questionnaire going around for the Senate candidates, and I hope that you're willing to support, the no excuse voting and the automatic voter registration. We lost all of our momentum, all that back in the springtime because of the fact that we were all in the midst of this COVID crisis. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to support that because it's vitally important to automatically register people, no excuse voting. And I know it's going to take a whole, a constitutional change, and we're going to need a supermajority to make that happen. But I hope that we can get your support.
Oh, I certainly do support that, but everybody should realize that we have already tried to do this once, and the voters rejected the proposed constitutional amendment in 2014 that asked that the legislature be empowered to make these changes by statute. We are one of the few states that actually has constitutional restrictions regarding our absentee voting process. Most other states can do it just directly by a statutory change. We put a language on the proposed constitutional amendment, was on the ballot in 2014, and the voters rejected it, whether it was because they didn't understand the language or they didn't support the concept. It was never really clear, but I certainly do support it. I think we need to broadly open the franchise. I, for one, am a very strong supporter of early voting, which we're not allowed to do under our present rules. I think that early voting is critically important because then people have the opportunity to still have the benefit of the secret ballot, but voting at a time that's not limited to the narrow period of 14 hours on election day. I would hope that we would have several days of early voting in the weeks leading up to the election, and I think many other states have that, and it tends to work very well, while also preserving the secrecy and the pristine nature of voting without coercion or someone looking over your shoulder when you're voting.
All right, Senator Looney, I'm so excited that you say that because of the fact that the reality is just our current election process in Connecticut is such that we kind of plan for a low voter turnout. Because could you imagine if 90% of the registered voters showed up to the polls on election day because that's the only day that you can vote? I mean, just imagine the lines would be down the road. I mean, we have to find a way. This is the most awesome. I mean, I voted on October 7th. I mean, come on. I just filled out my thing, signed it, put the date on it, sealed it, and put it in the box. And we've got to find, I mean, we've got, I know it's a constitutional situation here in Connecticut, but I really want to encourage you to, I mean, there's a questionnaire going around for the senators to support this movement. And we're hoping that you would be able to really lead this charge to really make our voting process really open for community members here in the state of Connecticut.
I certainly do support that. I've also supported legislation in the past that would change our election day from a Tuesday to a weekend, or to make election day a holiday. Again, to encourage voting, because while the polls are open for 14 hours, for most people, all of those 14 hours are not available for them to go to vote. For many people, it comes down to the narrow time frame early in the morning, perhaps on their way to work, or later in the evening when they get home. So for most people, only a small portion of those 14 hours are actually realistically available to them to cast their vote, except for retirees and others who may be working from home. But for most of the population, especially those who commute, those 14 hours quickly condense down to a very narrow window.
Yes. So